Hi, I'm Ariel Valdez, founder of the Visionary Planner and creator of Visionary Academy. In this segment, we're going to talk about habits and rituals and how using them can help you operate at a higher level in your life and experience more abundance and the version of you that you would need to expand into to get to the next level in your life. In this 4-step framework, we're going to talk about what the difference between them is and why this actually matters. So let's get started. The way you show up every day is a pattern, from the way that you think, from what you follow through on, what you avoid, and how you even respond when something feels uncomfortable. These are all learned responses that have been formed over time repeatedly. And through that repetition, your brain starts to recognize those patterns as familiar and safe. So your identity is being designed and reinforced daily through what you consistently do. The difference between a habit and a ritual is a habit is a repeated behavior, something you do consistently enough that it starts to become more automatic. In neuroscience, this is tied to how your brain conserves energy. The more you repeat something, the more your brain shifts into a more automatic processing so that you don't have to think so hard. That's why habits can feel so easy over time, whether they're helping you or not. A ritual is more intentional. It's something you choose to do in a certain way to guide your focus, your state, and your direction. So your habit is what you repeat, and your rituals are how you bring intention into what you're doing. Underneath all of this, there's something really important happening in your brain. Every time you repeat a behavior, you're strengthening what we call neural pathways. There's something in neuroscience that goes, the neurons that fire together, wire together. So the more you think and act, your brain starts building efficiency around that pattern, and it becomes easier, faster, and more automatic. This is also how your subconscious patterns are formed as well. Over time, your brain will start to question and start identifying with these things. So when you're building habits and rituals, you're not just trying to stay consistent. You're literally wiring your neurological patterns, which changes your behavior. And over time, that becomes your identity. And once something becomes a part of your identity, you will not have to force it anymore. It'll come easy and natural. And that's what we want when we're shifting into a new identity. So here's actually how to start doing this. First, start with your identity. Get clear on who you're becoming, not just what you want. Who you are when you have it and how you show up. Second is your habits. What are the simple, repeatable actions that version of you does? And third is your rituals. How do you guide yourself through the day? How do you set intention? This is like your own unique way to express and perform that habit so that the new habit isn't really forced. It actually becomes more fun because you put your own unique twist on it. And fourth is repetition. This is what's going to create the shift. That repetition is going to strengthen the neural pathways, reducing that resistance. And through that process, your identity will start to shift to the next level. Everything will start to shift for you, and that will become more automatic, hence shifting you into that new identity. So when we talk about identity, I want you to ask yourself, who am I becoming? Get clear on the new identity. Okay? I want you to get really clear on that new identity. So imagine your new identity is up here and you're down here, and you have to implement all these new habits / rituals in order to evolve in that new identity and shed your old identity. So who would you need to become? I want you to take some time and really think about that. That's very important. Who do you need to become in the process? How do I show up? I want you to create a mental mantra for yourself when you think about this question. How do I show up? So much of shifting your identity is going to be difficult because you're firing and wiring new neural pathways meaning you're creating that new neural network in your brain, that is going to cause the resistance. It's like when we go to the gym. We go to the gym and we lift weights, right? And when we know we have to shift and go up weight, we try maybe 5 or 10 reps and we feel that crazy resistance and we feel like we can't take it. We put the weight down and we try to pick up our old weight and start lifting our old weight, but it's so easy. It's almost like that with your old identity and your new identity. Every time you're shifting into a new identity and it feels hard, you'll try to go back to the old habits and rituals, but it won't feel aligned. It won't feel right. You can't go back to that old identity because you don't fit there anymore. You already surpassed and grew that. And it's the same concept as the muscle, right? So you pick up that heavy weight and you go and you go and it's hard until it's easy. And then you go up more weight. That's the same thing with this. But you do create those mental mantras when you're doing that. That self-talk, right? And that self-talk, I love to call it a mental mantra. So I want you to create that mental mantra for yourself. How do you show up when things get difficult? What's that mental mantra that's going to get you through when you think about this new identity, right? Creating that mental mantra. What vision are you going to have in your head that's going to replay when things feel difficult? Because shifting is uncomfortable, right? That's why we do personal development. This is the stuff of personal development. We create these aids, right? This mental mantra is going to really help us push through this vision, envisioning it when things get difficult. That end goal, right, is going to really help you get through. And so we create these mental mantras and these visions to help us push through so that we can achieve and get to that new identity. Next is your habits. I want you to think about what habits would you need to attain? So what habits will you need to obtain? I want you to think, when you think about habits, external, internal. This is more on an energetic level, the internal. So external habits would be workout, right? Like working out, fitness, just an example. And internal would be the in-betweens, right? 5-minute breath work. So I'm going to tell you why these little internal habits are so important. When you are shifting to a new identity, you are going to be exhausted because it's going to take a lot of energy out of you. And when you're creating a new habit, your brain doesn't understand it yet. You haven't done it yet. You haven't created that muscle and that neural pathway. So it's taking a lot of energy out of you to get to that level of creating it to be a habit. And so when you are doing the external work in creating that habit, you need to be doing internal work as well. Like things like meditation, grounding, grounding your feet into the earth, going and putting down the cell phone and really just being with yourself. That will create that sense of energy that you need in order to fulfill and be consistent in the new identity. And it's enjoyable. You want life to be enjoyable. Every single day is not promised. And so you need to be able to have those little pockets of time throughout the day, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, when you're sitting in stillness and you're able to regain that energy. Because if you're on constant go, and you don't take the time out in that internal realm to actually practice these things are essential for every day, but especially when you're shifting in a new identity, you are going to feel that burnout and you are going to feel that overwhelm. And we don't want that for you. We want you to be able to excel to the next level, but also create these practices so that you can take them with you to the next level, right? And so we want to think about the external habits that we would need to be to implement this new identity, but we also want to think about the internal habits because this is really going to be your energy and your driver to be able to fulfill this new identity. So next is your rituals. Rituals are your self-expression. So when you think of a ritual, I want you to think about your own way of doing it, right? When you think about, okay, I'm going to work out. I want to implement fitness because I want to be the strongest version of myself. Okay. You have a goal, a habit that you want to shift, a new identity to be stronger. Now, there's so many different workouts, right? And so this is where that ritual comes in. So for me, it's like I do Pilates every single morning. So I would do Pilates every morning. Then after Pilates, I eat and I go for a walk. So that's a habit. A ritual is doing it over. It's a ritual that I do, doing it over and over and over again, right? That repetition, which is so important. That's strengthening those neural pathways, but it's also making it enjoyable for me because that's what I like. It's in alignment with what I want for me and my new identity. And so I'm also, through that, creating this ritual, but I'm also, for my walk, I'm also creating that internal energetic recharge. So do you see that? Do you see how my habit would be the fitness? So I'm going to Pilates. The ritual would be every morning. And then I go for a walk. That's ritual. But in there, I have that energetic recharge, which is going for a walk. And I don't have my phone, take my dogs for a walk, and I really just set the tone for the day. And that is the work, right? When you're shifting that new identity, you really want to create this formula of habit, external, ritual, for that repetition. This energy charge, right, is so important. I really want you to not forget about this. I really want you to implement that energy charge. I can't stress it enough because when you are shifting identity, it is going to be exhausting. So you need to be able to have this formula that's really going to help you excel to the next level. And it's really going to push you into that new identity because when you're identity shifting, that whole process and experience, you want to be able to be present. Everything that you do is directly correlated to your habits. And so when we get really clear on the things that we want in our life, then we can architect our days around that in designing on who we need to be, what we need to implement, and how we need to build ourselves up to the next level in our life. And doing this repetition is going to strengthen the neural pathways. So I want you to think about it like a light bulb. So the old, that's a crazy one. Well, sorry, I'm not an artist. But the old neural pathway is shining so bright, right? And this is your old identity. And you just don't feel it anymore. You don't feel like you belong here anymore. And you're ready to grow to this next level, right? So we need these to atrophy. And through that repetition of creating the new identity, through your habits, you will then create new light bulbs, which is new neural pathways, right? Because when you do it repeatedly over and over and over again through time, this is going to strengthen that neural network. And that neural pathway is going to shine brighter and brighter. And this old one is going to atrophy over time because you're not doing the old things anymore. You're not giving that energy. All of your energy is going to this new neural pathway, creating this new identity for yourself. Hence, we'll create the new identity and that shift over time. Over time, this will become a part of your identity. So it'll become a part of your new identity. You won't have to expel so much energy because it's going to be a process. Now it's going to be a part of your processing. And when it becomes a part of your processing, it becomes a part of your identity. And so this is the work. This is the everyday work that you would need to do to excel to the next level. So when you're thinking about the next level, I want you to think about, who do I need to become? Who do I need to become to get to the next level in my life? Who do I need to show up as? And create that mental mantra, create that vision you have for yourself, and start architecting your days daily. Because when we do this, we don't stay stuck in the old identity. I know for a lot of years of my life, I was stuck in the old identity thinking that the way that I am is just the way that I am. But I'm here to tell you that if you feel right now in your heart that you can excel to the next level, and that vision that you have for yourself just sits in the back of your head and you don't do anything about it because you don't know how to architect that, start with your habits. Start with creating those rituals. Start with that repetition. Start with these mental mantras. Push yourself to the next level. Start with the habits. Daily things will build that vision into existence. But the first step is to first identify what that version of you looks like and architect your days around that, because your identity shapes everything that you do. So you need to get really clear in architecting and designing that so that you can excel to the next level and really fulfill that vision. Because this is the work daily. Doing it every single day, showing up every single day, and stepping into the best of who we are is really going to architect that amazing vision that we have for ourselves. Hey, my friend, Ariel here. And if you enjoyed this teaching and you want to go deeper, everything I shared here is a part of a larger framework called the Visionary Mapping System. It's the system behind the Visionary Planner and the teachings inside of Visionary Academy, where we walk you through step by step, designing your mission, your habits, and your environment, and the life that you want to build. So if you'd like to explore it further, you can check out the links below and learn more about the Planner and Visionary Academy.